The station clock read 11:47 p.m. when Marcus finally admitted to himself that he was lost. Not geographically lost, he knew exactly where he was. Platform 7 of Union Station, but existentially. Profoundly. Completely lost in the way that only a 32-year-old man with a failed business, a broken engagement, and a one-way ticket to his childhood home could be. The platform was nearly empty. A janitor pushed a mop across the far end, the rhythmic squeak of the bucket wheels echoing off the vaulted ceiling. To teenagers huddled on a bench, their faces illuminated by phone screens. And there, sitting cross-legged on the ground with a battered guitar case open for change, was an old woman who didn't look like she belonged in a train station at midnight. She wore a vintage purple dress that might have been fashionable in the 1960s. Her silver hair piled into an elaborate bun held together with what appeared to be chopsticks. Her fingers moved across the guitar strings with surprising grace, coaxing out a melody that Marcus almost recognized but couldn't quite place. He dropped a $5 bill into her case, more out of guilt than generosity. She looked up, her dark eyes sharp and assessing. "That's too much for pity," she said. Her voice carrying a faint accent he couldn't identify. Marcus felt his face flush. "It's not pity. You play beautifully." Liar, but she smiled when she said it. "Sit down, young man. You look like you're carrying the weight of several worlds on those shoulders." "I really should." He gestured vaguely toward the departure board, though his train wasn't for another hour. "Should what?" Pace anxiously. "Stare at your phone pretending to be busy. Rehearse what you'll say to your mother when she asks why you're coming home." The woman patted the ground beside her. "Sit, let an old woman have some company." Against his better judgment, Marcus sat. The concrete was cold through his jeans, and he could smell the faint perfume of jasmine emanating from the woman beside him. "I'm Iris," she said, adjusting her grip on the guitar. "And you are someone running away from something, or running toward something, or possibly both, Marcus. And I'm not running. I'm regrouping." "Ah, yes, regrouping." She plucked a single string, letting the note hang in the air. "That's what we call it when we're too proud to admit defeat. I regrouped many times in my youth. From Paris to Istanbul, from Istanbul to New York, from New York to here. You don't seem like you're from here. Here is just a place. Marcus. Everywhere is here when you're standing in it." She began playing again, that same almost familiar melody. "Tell me, this regrouping of yours, is it working?" Marcus laughed bitterly. "My business partner embezzled from our company. My fiancée decided she'd rather marry him than testify against him. I lost everything in 6 months. So no, I'd say the regrouping is going terribly." Iris nodded thoughtfully, never missing a note. "You lost money and a dishonest woman. From where I'm sitting, you might have gained something. Debt. Humiliation. A room in my childhood home at 32. Perspective," she said simply. "Tell me about your business. What did you do?" "We designed educational software. Programs to help kids with learning disabilities. It was good work. We were actually helping people." He felt the familiar ache in his chest. The loss of something he'd built from nothing. "And will you stop doing that work now?" "I can't. The company's gone. The investors are gone. I have nothing left to build with." Iris stopped playing abruptly, fixing him with those sharp eyes. "You have what you started with: knowledge, skill, and apparently a desire to help children. Everything else was just scaffolding. The scaffolding collapsed, but the architect remains." Before Marcus could respond, a man in an expensive suit rushed past, nearly stepping on Iris's guitar case. He didn't apologize, didn't even seem to notice them. They watched him disappear into the terminal, phone pressed to his ear, barking orders at someone on the other end. "Another one running," Iris murmured. "Running so fast he doesn't see the world he's running through. Maybe he has somewhere important to be. Maybe," she began playing again, a different song this time, something slower, sadder. "Or maybe he's afraid of what might happen if he stops. There's a difference between moving towards something and running away from yourself. Marcus." The tragedy is when people spend their whole lives never learning which one they're doing. An announcement crackled over the loudspeaker, garbled and impossible to understand. The teenagers on the bench gathered their bags and headed for the escalator. I had a grandson, Iris said suddenly, very bright boy. Wanted to be an astronaut, then a marine biologist, then a comic book artist. He changed his mind every 6 months, and his parents worried he'd never find his way. I told them a river that never changes course is probably heading for a dam. What happened to him? He became a teacher. Teaches science to middle schoolers in Oakland. His parents wanted him to be a doctor or a lawyer, something prestigious. But he's happy, and his students love him, and he still draws comics on the weekends. Sometimes the path is more circuitous than we'd like, but the destination can still be good. Marcus felt something, a knot in his chest, just slightly. My mother is going to ask me what my plan is. Every day, she's going to ask. And I don't have an answer. Then tell her you're in the question phase. Plans are overrated anyway. I planned to be a concert violinist. Instead, I became a music teacher, a mother, a widow, a traveler, and now she gestured around the empty platform with a dramatic flourish, a station musician. Life laughs at our plans. Marcus. Best to make friends with it rather than enemies. A train pulled into the adjacent platform, its brakes hissing. Doors opened and closed. A handful of weary passengers climbed aboard. Then it pulled away again, leaving only the lingering smell of ozone and diesel. My train leaves in 40 minutes, Marcus said, checking his phone. Then you have 40 minutes to decide what kind of passenger you want to be. The kind who spends the whole journey looking backward at where you've been, or the kind who watches out the window at where you're going. That's very poetic, but it doesn't pay my bills or fix my life. Iris set down her guitar and turned to face him fully. No, it doesn't. You know what will? Getting up tomorrow and doing the next right thing. Then the day after that, doing the next right thing. Then the day after that, and the day after that. Not the perfect thing. Not the thing that fixes everything at once. Just the next right thing, which is what exactly? How should I know? I'm not you, she laughed, a bright sound that echoed off the station walls, but I suspect you already know what it is. You're just afraid to admit it because it might not look like success to anyone else. Marcus thought about the educational software, about the thank you emails he'd received from parents of kids who'd finally started to enjoy reading. Kids who'd discovered they weren't stupid or broken, just wired differently. He thought about the small nonprofit in his hometown that worked with underprivileged students. The one that had been trying to recruit him for years. I could probably do the work independently, he said slowly. Freelance. Help schools and nonprofits build custom solutions. It wouldn't be glamorous. It wouldn't make me rich, but it would be mine, really mine. And I could still do the work that matters.